Hello and welcome to Escapees RV Club Virtual Campfires. Tonight we're talking about virtual meetup spaces like the one you're in, Facebook, and a bunch of other things. And we have most of the marketing team with us. I'm Corinne Sadur. I am the Director of Marketing. We have Georgianne Austin, who is our Communications Director, and Jeannie Dees, our Social Media Manager. And you guys probably have, at least virtually seen her a lot. So, like I said, tonight we'll be talking about virtual meetup spaces, how you can communicate online with each other, places to go, places to meet up, and then maybe even take it off in the real world. So we wanted to start off talking about what's a virtual campfire. And a virtual campfire, just to let you know, we have these once a month. They're interviews, they're club topics, they're educational. We just kind of cover everything. It's just a way for us to talk to you guys a little more often. And then we always want to start with our club items and our club news, what's going on. So as you may know, events are back. We just had Xscapade, our big national rally. It was hugely successful and it seemed like everyone had a lot of fun. We also had a recent convergence in Salida, and there's about to be one on Saturday, I believe it starts. And the Tetons, and we had hangouts in the Tetons too. And there's another hangout coming up. And there are some events on sale. There are hops on sale. Look at like the South Texas one. And then we have convergences in Las Vegas, Halloween around that time. So check those out, go on the sites, and you can grab your spot and meet people in person and not virtually. But tonight, we're going to talk about virtual ones. So let's start with the one we are on, Facebook. And of course, there are our Facebook pages, but we have a lot of Facebook groups. And there are, of course, other groups on Facebook too. But no, we're all escapees, right? We're going to talk about the escapees ones first. So Jeannie, since you were managing these, along with some moderators who might be around, so thank you guys for all of your help. Can you tell us a little bit about our groups?
Yeah, we have three groups, Escapees-Escapees RV Club. That's one of them. We have Xscapers. We also have RV to Freedom. And the Escapees group, that one is for members only. So you'll need your Escapees number in order to sign up for that one. But anyone can sign up for the Xscapers or the RV to Freedom group. And basically, they're just to get to know people and ask questions. How do you RV? Things like that. It's really kind of neat to be able to communicate with each other online to figure out how you're going to RV, especially in the RV to Freedom group, because that's geared toward a lot of new RVers. But you know, we also have Xscapers who are new. We have Escapees who are new, and so everyone's joining each of these three groups and asking some great questions, and also getting to know each other through communicating in the groups. My suggestion, if you're, just brand new to any of the groups, is to reach out and ask questions. Definitely let people know where you're, if you're attending an event, because that gets conversations starting, and you'll find out people who are in common who will be going to those events as well. So you'll really want to be able to reach out through our groups. We also have event-specific groups, and we're going to be starting some hops event groups, which is going to be pretty exciting for the members of and attendees of the hop events. But like I said, get to know people through our Facebook groups. And then, when we start talking about events in person, it always kind of builds the excitement. And I've been looking at other posts online with, especially in Xscapers right now, because the Tetons Convergence is coming up. People are getting so excited. And then today, tickets went on sale for the Mexico Convergence in Rocky Point, and there was a whole conversation about it online as well. So, there's just information that you can glean from those, but you can also meet people within those groups as well. If you feel comfortable, one of the things about Facebook is kind of nice that you can actually share, your location or your general location if you're not feeling super comfortable with sharing exactly where you are. And inevitably, there are going to be some people who are in the same location you are, and you can meet them in person, or just continue to chat online and say, let's get to know each other a little bit more online.
Yeah, always
But
I
so
was
go ahead.
that's a good way, because people are traveling, and so just kind of putting it out there, and like you said, it doesn't have to be specific, but generally, if you're like, is anybody going to be in Wyoming in this month, or I'm going to Escapade, is anybody traveling somewhat nearby? Before that, I'm
Yeah.
coming in a little early, and get excited for the events too. Talk about that and meet people ahead of time that you're finding out who's going to be there. And then when you get to the event, you get to meet them in person. So I think that's two really kind of fun ways to get together and meet people. I know we've done that
Yeah,
a lot.
we have too. And once you get to know them at online, it's just kind of that easy transition to speaking to them in person at an event. It's been kind of fun to do that. And, really we've made some lifelong friends, and they've started out just being online. And that has been really fun. I've enjoyed that a lot. Another thing that I was going to add on was that, a lot of people will talk in groups too about the things that they have in common. Say, for example, like say they have these specific hikes they want to go to in Glacier Park and things like that. If they're going to be doing anything like that, there's always the chance that you could make that connection through like ideas, or events that you want to go to, or commonalities, and then just meet up. Say the little kayak trips, or biking with e-bikes and things like that. It's really kind of fun to be able to do that by just communicating online.
Yes, absolutely. Around that interest is really good.
Yeah.
It gives you something to do.
Yeah, and I know even as someone who doesn't travel full time, I've had a ton of fun in these groups when someone's like, "Hey, do you have recommendations?" Like I used to live in Austin, and does anyone have recommendations for great places to go? And so I start throwing stuff out there, and like, oh, actually, like, are you free this weekend or whatever? Let's go grab lunch, and like just finding ways to connect with people. So even if you're not a full-time RVer still, and you're kind of dipping your toes in where you can, there's still a really great way to start conversations and get those connections going, so that when you do get to go to an event, you might run into that person down the road, or even just have lunch with somebody, have a drink with someone, and talk and get to know them a little bit more too, and get to know more about RVing that way too.
Exactly. Yeah, there's another one of the things that we also do when we do eventually meet up, and after we've made friends and met in person, and even just online, we do start these chat groups on Messenger, and then we add a whole bunch of people to the chat group, and we get to know each other even more through the chat group. And sometimes, well, I'd say most of the time, it gets pretty silly, but it's been pretty fun, and people are really being themselves when they're on the chat, and it's fun to learn who someone is and what they're like, and then we can continue those conversations in person. And also through those messenger chats, we can decide, okay, well, where are you going to be? Are you going to be in the this location, or are you moving on? Maybe we can meet up in a month or so, and it works out pretty well to talk through the chat in Messenger as well. So that's just another option.
Yeah, it's a great way to keep everybody you're camping with, because I know, like, before events, especially before or after events, people kind of camp together, and it lets you know what's happening in camp. When is dinner? When are we going to do something? Yeah, or just keep in touch later. But yeah, Facebook in general, love it or hate it, which if you guys are on here, you hopefully don't hate it. But it's a good way, just get in the groups and just just interact. I mean, that's the biggest thing. You know, as much as it seems like, oh, it's a big impersonal space, if your name comes up again and again, it starts to feel like we already know you. Like there are people that I hadn't met for months. And then when I met them, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess we haven't actually met in person, but I know you from the group because you chat a lot. You know, you ask a question or just start a conversation or just comment on somebody's post and just get that interaction going. And it really kind of breaks the ice. You know, it's a good icebreaker ahead of trying to meet people.
I agree. It was really fun to see people at Escapade who I had seen names online and chatted with online in our groups, and it was fun to finally meet them in person. And you know, I was doing a lot of running around, but you know, there were still people who were like, "Oh, I know you," or so. it was kind of fun to you know, make those connections in person after, you know, meeting them online.
Absolutely. And I feel like too, you can meet them in Facebook, and sometimes you might not become Facebook friends because you might only do that with people that you've met in person or something like that. But there's still, you can take it to other avenues. So I know like a lot of people, if they talk online on Facebook, but then they end up following each other on Instagram. So, and we're, you know, it's another place to kind of just keep going with that connection. So we do have our Instagrams, right, Jeannie?
Yes, we do. We sure do. Yes, we have two accounts. One for Escapees, and that's Escapees RV Club, and we also have a second one for Xscapers. And of course, you know, anyone can join in because what we do is we have chats with people that we know. We have chats with people who we don't know, and people are sharing camping ideas. They're sharing different kinds of RVs. They're sharing different fantastic locations if they're boondocking or even if they're in an RV park. And what's really great about Instagram too is that you can use tags to help connect with each other. So, you know, we would do as hashtag Escapees RV Club or hashtag Xscapers or hashtag Freedom Driven. You know, also things like hashtag full-time RVer, you know, all time full-time RVers can really connect together through Instagram, and they do. There are great conversations going on Instagram a lot, and many who have since met in person, and it's been fun to watch that progression. As you know, I don't want to call myself a stalker, but I actually do, you know, read through all kinds of posts on Instagram, and I get to know different people. So it's been really fun to chat with them and get to know them and to meet online. It's been really fun.
I always tell people it sounds stalkerish, you know, to new RVers, the new full-time RVers and stuff. It sounds stalkerish, and I'm like, but it's really not. We all do it. It's totally okay. If you reach out to somebody because you're like, oh, I'm here, we totally expect it. It's not creepy. It's okay. And I was going to say with the hashtags too, that, I mean, you can search for the hashtag, put them on your post, you know, that's, everybody like searches for that, but you can search for it, but you couldn't even follow hashtags on Instagram.
Yes.
So that it comes up in your feed as a hashtag rather than a specific person. So that way you might meet more Escapees members because you're seeing it pop up because they use that tag. And It's another kind of great way to find other members and other RVers because, you know, if they're an Escapees member, if they're Escapees and Xscapers, they're probably pretty cool. So that's a way to like keep looking for people.
I agree.
Especially before, I was thinking about this, especially before we were had so many events, before Xscapers was born, before Hangouts came around, and we were working, so we didn't really weren't able to go to attend hops because it's, you know, all day and we couldn't take off all that time. Before that, basically Instagram was how we met people, and it was kind of like using that geo tag where it says it is, and we're like, hey, you're kind of in the same area as us. Do you want to meet up? And again, sounds creepy and stalkerish at first if you don't know, but we still have some of our really good friends that we still meet up with that we met that way. So
well,
it's all good.
I'm glad that you mentioned the geotags, because that's a really great way to find out where people are in your area. And especially if you've been messaging, or not necessarily messaging, but commenting on each other's posts for a while, using that geotag will help you find out exactly where they might be. And, like you said, we used to think it was a little stalkerish, but it's not really. It's really, how to get to know people when you're traveling a lot and you don't always plan things with other people. So, you can find out where they are and then say, hey, let's meet up. Or, and I think of it in terms of families, full-time families who have kids. That I think would be a great way to meet up with other families with kids, because that, I think, they want to get together. It's just that sometimes travel plans don't mesh. So it's a great way with those geotags to figure out where they are.
And as someone, as communications person here, just keep in mind too that if you do reach out to somebody over Instagram and like, hey, like let's meet up, and they're not receptive, it's okay. They're allowed to not be receptive, because there are some people who they may not see it as being stalkerish, but they may be like, oh, I actually like, that's not really what I'm on here for. Or in a lot of cases, for safety reasons, people will delay posting their location for a week or two at a time, and so they may be long gone. So if you're the person who's reaching out and saying, hey, I would love to meet up and check out more of the area with you or something like that, and they decline, or they're already moved along, that's okay. That's totally fine. Don't take it personally, and just keep on, look for somebody else or find other ways to connect with them and see if they have recommendations from when they were there.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's absolutely
exactly.
okay.
It's a really good point. Yeah. And that's the thing too, asking for recommendations. Like if you see somebody in an area where you're headed and maybe you won't be there at the same time, but they might be able to tell you like, oh, we love this place, you should go check it out. And that's where you can even just comment on things like, oh, we're about to head there. Do you have any other recommendations? That spot looks beautiful, because if they're posting somewhere, that's probably beautiful. If it's on Instagram for the most part. We've got some real ones, like other stuff too, but let's be real. Most of it's very pretty.
It really is. Yeah, I'm kind of digging my spot that I have right now. It's quite pretty, and I have to admit I did post it on Instagram today. So
I mean, to be fair, photos of black tank hoses and sewer hookups and stuff aren't real appealing. So I prefer the landscape photos anyway.
Right. Right, exactly. And sometimes you can get enough of your ugly mugs. I want to see myself 1,000 times. I want to see the pretty place I am, a beautiful boondock spot where if you turn this way, you'll see a road. But you don't know it when in the photo it looks like a middle of nowhere.
Right. Well,
but it's all good. You get to see people on there. You get to see beautiful places and awesome stuff, and it makes it easy to comment on things, because there's usually something that you can comment about, either the photo itself, the place, or their thoughts. Because people like the captions, sometimes they're just minuscule captions that might say where they are, but sometimes it's actually like people really pour thoughts into some of these captions about what's happening.
They really do. And it's very heartfelt what a lot of people put into them. It's very heartfelt. And, I think that brings up another point, when you're trying to meet people, you need to make sure that you're really genuine, that you're being yourself. And, I like to give that tip to people, because, if you eventually meet up in person, you don't want to be a different person than who you were online, because then that's not going to be really appealing to people you meet in person. So just another tip, be genuine, be yourself.
I'm going to throw you for a loop here, Jeannie, for a second, because I forgot to talk about this earlier. What are one of our last online properties, we could say, is the RV Network. That's our forum that we have, and you can actually that's very active forum. It's not as maybe social as Facebook, and it's not Instagram, it's not photo heavy and like that, but
Right.
information wise, you can ask questions about anything related to RVing and get a
Yes.
bunch of information and everybody chiming in and stuff like that. And, you know, that's another place to meet people who are interested in the same things. I know you guys have both, especially Georgianne, has worked with that a little bit, I believe.
Yeah, it's really great. It's been a great way to connect with people. I mean, not everybody's interested in being on Facebook or other social media, and that's totally understandable. And so RV Network is a place where people can go and just check out things. You can read along. I mean, just like any other old school discussion forum kind of thing, like you can see threads that are years long of, and you can see how things have developed, or you can get people's experience from their own RVing with all kinds of questions. You can easily save stuff to go back and refer to it later, which is something that can be really tough on traditional social media because it's so fast, like things update so quickly. It's like with the discussion forum, I've seen people dig into really important issues and questions that kind of need a lot of feedback and get lots of opinions. And then people will come back like a year later and say, by the way, I did X, Y, and Z that you guys recommended, and it ended up being fantastic. And here's the outcome that I saw. And whether it's locations that they wanted to visit or troubleshooting an RV problem that took a while, there's all kinds of stuff on RV Network. Even if you're looking to buy or sell your RV or a part for your RV or some accessory, there's a lot of that kind of stuff on there too. And it's, of course, like discussion forums are, it's organized by topic. And so it's a little bit easier too to go through and find what you're looking for versus, again, like the timeline on social media that's just everything all together, unless you know what specific keywords to look for that people may have used and use a little search function on Facebook. Whereas the discussion forum is much easier to organize information. And so it's definitely an option for people. And we've got, I don't even know how many tens of thousands of users on there at this point. It's a lot. It's definitely, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of information there and a lot of good conversation. And so I would highly recommend at least checking it out and seeing if that's a spot that you might want to be part of.
Exactly. It's like checking it out isn't going to hurt. And you're right with the organization. You know, like Facebook is great to kind of connect socially. You can ask a question on there about fixing something and you'll get some answers. But if you want to like look back at information, you can find it there. It's going to be all of it.
Yeah.
And it's organized in a way you can find it.
Yep.
It's an amazing resource from so many people who have actually been RVing for a lot of years and have a great deal of knowledge. It's actually been helpful for me because, you know, even though I've RV'd for, I've lost count of how many years, it doesn't matter. I have a lot to learn still, you know, so the RV network is just it's really helpful. And I've enjoyed just kind of, you know, taking some time on there and learning new things as I need them. So like you said, you know, sometimes social media can get a little disorganized, and that is very well organized and super helpful in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Most definitely. And it's a place to kind of, if you're really just kind of social media it out for a while, to go hang out there for a bit. Yeah. You know, and speaking of something that's a little different, this is definitely a social media space, but it's very specific to RVers, is our village. You know, it's not one of ours, like our it's a bunch of escapees hanging out and chatting. Yeah. So what do we have over there?
Oh gosh, you know, we do have quite a few people who connect on RVillage. We have an Escapees group. We also have an Xscapers group on there. Plus, not only that, we also have our chapters. There are a lot of chapters on there. Our Birds of a Feather groups. There are Birds of a Feather groups on there, and also some of our Escapees co-op RV parks are on there as well. So there are people who connect within RVillage within these different groups, and they're not just for escapees or escapers groups, but there are interest groups and not even affiliated with escapees and escapers, but certainly you can join just about any kind of RVer group that's on there, and you could connect with so many people through RVillage. It's actually been pretty nice. Plus the fact that they also monitor comments and things like that, so things are respectful within the groups too, and there are different people who can just start conversations and then move along through the conversation, and eventually they realize, oh, we have a couple of people in common and we met them in such and such place, or what do you think about this RV park? And it's just been really nice to watch that connection between people and that community that has been built up through RVillage. So, and you can always see people who have the RVillage flags too if they're in RV parks, so who you can connect to in person if you've seen their RVillage flags. But another thing through RVillage is check into cities. You can check into specific RV parks, like I mentioned, our co-ops or campgrounds, or you can set your profile to traveling, so that people know as you're moving around the country or wherever you are, maybe they can find you on, if you've connected as friends on RVillage, maybe they can find you on your map of where you are. So that's just another way to start a conversation and get to know people through RVillage. And it's all RVers. It's everyone has that in common on that forum.
Right. I think that's it. It's unusual, different than like other social media because of the way it does that allows you to check in and stuff. And then they're all groups with interest, but you have two interests in common already because it's whatever the group's about, which can be an RV specific. If you have a Tiffin or something, it's even a specific one. There's a groups for those. And you're an RVer. Or we even had like scuba diving and RVing, because it's automatically RVing. And then that checking in function, if you're checked in an RV park, you can see who else is at the RV park, and then you can see their profile and reach out. So if you don't want to be that specific to the RV park, you can still do the city, as you mentioned. So it's a little bit more widespread. So if you don't want to have specifically where you are, that's okay. You can do that. But you get a map of your friends and you can see where they are across the US and Canada and Mexico, I think. And then even within a group, there's group maps. So if you're part of the Escapees RV Club group, you can kind of see where members are on a map and see if anybody's near you. So it's like it's that thing where we're saying, oh, see who's around you. And on Instagram, you can kind of tell if people put where they are, but you're just kind of having to look, or Facebook, you can put it out there and say, hey, I'm in this area. But like RVillage just gives it to you and kind of lets you vet people before you reach out to them too.
Yeah.
We did that actually at a long time ago now, but at an RV park we were at, there were not many people there at that time. And there was just like this other RV that was in the spot. And then we realized, wait a minute, we're both on RVillage and we have a lot of we're in the same groups. Hey, maybe we should like talk. So we went over there and like met up and ended up hanging out with them a lot. So it turned out pretty well. We had a good time while we were there.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's so much fun, when you have seen somebody online and then you finally get to meet in person. You know, there's nothing like it. But, you know, there are some things you need to think of too, you know, when you are meeting in person, that, you know, we've kind of talked about this a little bit before, like, you know, being genuine and making sure that you're, you know, feeling comfortable and feeling safe when you're meeting in person. So, you know, I just think that throughout these different groups that we've talked about, you know, the online virtual meetup spaces, that's really the safest for a lot of people. And sometimes, you know, like you said, it might only go that far unless there is a large event that you end up meeting at. But if you want to meet up in person, there's always that, you know, there's always that chance that you might get to meet somebody in person. So taking that chance and knowing some safety factors when it comes to meeting in person are good to know. But I think you just feel comfortable. Make sure you feel comfortable first meeting up with somebody in person. And, you know, you can meet somewhere public. You can decide that, let's say you're in a city together and you decide to go on one of the city tours. And so, you know, that's just one way that you could do that. So it's kind of in a public space so that you don't feel like, you know, you're meeting up with this person for the first time and you're by yourself, you know, and that person could be feeling the same way. So make sure that, you know, you have some, you know, some mutual ideas about how you're going to meet up in real life. And you know, listen to your gut, actually, is probably my best tip. Feel comfortable and listen to your gut. But you know, we've talked about common interests before, and making sure that if you're going to meet up, you might want to try something that you have a common interest with. So, you know, hiking, biking, you know, there could be this great bike path that somebody wants to try out, and you met somebody, you know, on Instagram who loves to bike as well. So you decide to do a bike ride, or, you know, maybe it could be just the two of you or a group, or however you decide to do it. But anyway, just so many things that you can do that would feel, you know, feel comfortable without putting yourself in a situation that might not feel comfortable.
Yeah, I think the safety, like making sure you're comfortable, and I also call a lot of these things low pressure type of stuff. If you're doing an activity, then you're not having to come up with scintillating conversation, you know, all the time. You're doing an activity. You can go out, and if you both and multiple people, because I've met many people in groups before where we're all in Ketchum, let's go hang out. And it's doing something, maybe we're on kayaking. You know, how often are you talking that much when you're kayaking? You're not always right there with each other.
Yeah.
But it gives you kind of breaks the ice with it a little bit more for that in person, or just getting drinks or some food. But, you know, like it's kind of a low pressure thing too. It's that, think of a date. People meet for dates a lot just with drinks at first because it's short and you can leave. If you want, you don't have. If you want to move to dinner, great. It's same type of thing, you know, when you're meeting people that could be friends for the first time. You know, like maybe you end up hanging out at a campsite somewhere all night talking, but you know, doing those kind of low pressure activities makes it a little easier to kind of ease into it. And again, you know, it might, if you feel comfortable just going over to somebody's campsite, great. But if you want to meet at a restaurant outside, you're around people too.
Right.
Even like we've moved cities a couple of times, and even as, again, like I don't RV full time, but it's an easy thing is like break the ice, like you're saying, with an activity. Do something like go for a walk, or go check out some museum, or go do something, and then tentatively like, hey, and let's play it by ear and see how we are time wise when we're done. And then if you've had a great time with that person, you want to get to know them better. Then you can say, let's go do dinner afterwards. Let's go do drinks afterwards. And then you've got the experience that you've had of that activity to talk about, as well as getting to know each other differently, and like with more in depth. So I meant to say, And it totally, as you're saying, it makes it sound like I'm telling someone how to go on a blind date, but that's not, that's not the intention, but it kind of is the same approach of just going in with an open mind and understanding like this person they're going to be unique and they have different interests in different things, and you find those things in common. And if there are too many things not in common, leave yourself a polite out to,
Right.
like, okay, after this activity's done, I've got to go make dinner back at my rig, or I've got to go do this errand, or whatever the case may be. And you don't, like you're saying, you don't have to invite them back to your campsite. You don't have to, because in the RV world, a campsite kind of home. Like, I'm not going to invite someone I just met 2 hours before to come hang out on my back patio in my house. So that's totally understandable. If you're not comfortable doing that with your RV right away, that's totally understandable. And if you are, then great. You've hopefully found a really good friend. So
Right. Yeah, it's nice to be able to build up, to maybe inviting someone over to your rig to have a happy hour, or to plan a happy hour with people. It might feel like too much pressure to do that right off the bat, but to build up, like Carenza was saying, do these low pressure activities first, and then build up to something that's a little bit more in depth, where you're going to be probably talking a lot more and getting to know each other a lot more. But
it depends on how many
like
rigs you agree to.
So yeah, I think any of those tips is really beneficial for somebody. And again, I'm going to go back to definitely be yourself. Make sure that you're being genuine and honest, and if you want to see the person before you meet up, there are a couple of ways you can do that. Obviously, you can do some lives like Zoom or Google Meet, but there's also an app called Marco Polo where you can do video chats. So that's another way that, if you're feeling a little uncomfortable about meeting in person right away, you can just, start out with meeting online face-to-face and having a conversation other than texting or through just words and sentences. You can actually see the person and get to know the person a little bit better, online, and actually, really talk to them face to face. Well, sort of face to face, but face to camera.
Girlfriends and I use Facebook Messenger probably once a quarter. So we've only met through conferences and things in the past. We don't do a whole lot of social stuff outside of it, but using Facebook Messenger to get 2 or 3 friends together and do a video chat that way. And it's just as fine if you're doing it with someone you're getting to know, like, hey, I'm not great at texting. Like, it takes me too long to text. Like, let's just do a video chat, or let's just do something like that. And one-on-one, you can just talk while you make dinner in your RV or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great recommendation.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking too, like, talking about meeting up, there are different ways to go about it. If you're meeting one-on-one with somebody, you reached out through Instagram or Facebook or wherever, RVillage. But if you want to kind of create something where you're like, maybe a couple people are in this location, or you have talked to somebody, say, let's meet up, let's see if anybody else is in the area too. And you can put it out there wherever you are. You can put it out on Facebook and ask, is anybody else in this area? You can put it on an Instagram post and see if anybody else wants to meet up with you. I've joined a few meetups that way. Like, everybody's like, oh, we're in town, we're doing this, and we're going to meet here. And you'll be surprised how many RVers come out of the woodwork you didn't know were around, because there's a lot of us out there. And, like in the winter, we're all where it's warm for the most part. So there's those areas that are popular get a little busy, and you'll be like, oh, wow, there's a lot more people here than I realized. And even on RVillage, you can create an event. So you can put it out there for anybody who's on our village and sees it, that, we're meeting at this place at this time. Come if you want,
That's a really great idea. Thinking about even on Instagram, like we talked earlier, not everybody shares their location and in the moment. They don't share a lot of their mine's totally drawing a blank. You know what I'm saying? They're immediate information. And so if you're posting like, hey, I'm going to get together with this other Instagrammer at this wherever, and you just share it out there, if anybody wants to come along, you have no idea how many people might actually be in your area. They just, for their own reasons, aren't posting publicly yet that they're there. And so that's a great way to get people who are interested and want to be friendly, but for their own reasons, just don't share their location right away. Like that's a really good idea. I like that idea.
Yeah. Well, you know, after we had talked a little bit, I was thinking about what about those stationary RVers? You know, they also would probably, especially if they're new to an area, how do you get to know other people within that area as a new RVer? Because, you know, your RV has a pretty small footprint, and you could get to know the people in the park that you're in, but you know, if you're going to be there for a while, why not use some of these other community apps? You know, Facebook, of course, you know, a lot of communities have Facebook groups, and, you know, you can still get to know people through Facebook. But, you know, there are different things like Meetup is an app for meeting people, you know, kind of in a stationary spot. Another one, like if you're into sports and stuff, is Open Sports. That's an app for people who want to meet up and do, you know, team sports or team events. That one is kind of fun, especially if, you know, you want to be active in your community. And then Nextdoor, I think, is one that a lot of people use too when they are in a neighborhood, and you want to find out, you know, where are the great places to eat, or, you know, where are these, you know, these fun places to go, and then you can meet community members within your same community. And, you know, I didn't want to leave out any stationary RVers, because they definitely would, you know, deserve community as well. So just making sure that we have enough online places for them to meet up to.
That's great. And I have used Meetup when I was stationary, and now that I have a home base, I have used Nextdoor. I did not know about Open Sports, but there's probably a reason for that, since I am not athletically gifted. I usually are, but maybe there's something on there. I should check it out still.
Now with Nextdoor, it's been a great resource where we are, just because people share even just what's going on. Like if they were like, oh, hey, there's a live event, like live music in the park this weekend, or there's an art walk happening next weekend, and things like that. Just people just talk about this is going on. Even if you're not organizing a formal meetup around it, you still can learn about what's going on in the neighborhood that may not be really well publicized. And that gives you a way to get out and meet people organically as well if you want to. And it kind of takes the virtual aspect out of it a little bit, but
but sometimes the virtual aspect is a tool to like actually find in real life IRL things, just places to go or people to meet. So it's all really a tool. Did you guys have anything else that you wanted to add to that, Jenny? Well, you have questions too, like chime in. I know we do have one comment or question here about if we're asking if we have any members that are deaf. I know I met someone, Escapade, who was. So I know we do have some members, and I know we have members who are a little hard of hearing, but I just me personally, I can't say that I know a ton of deaf members, but I know that they're out there, and I have met some.
And I know there are also quite a few, I can't think of names specifically off the top of my head, but I know we have multiple members who are fluent in ASL. Even if they themselves are not deaf or hard of hearing, they're still able to connect and give your wife a little bit more of an outlet to connect with somebody in a way that's probably easier than trying to struggle through lip reading and that sort of thing that can get really high stress. I know sometimes. Even if there aren't a lot of deaf members of the club, there are still people who are happy to meet halfway and still communicate.
Yeah, we even had the kids that did the ASL with the national anthem this year at Escapade. So our younger generation is going to keep learning and be more open with things.
I love it. And they were even talking, the two teenagers that did it were even, I was talking with their parents the next day, and like they're even looking at trying to do like some kind of kids focused thing where they're teaching other kids the same thing. Like it's something they picked up. One of the cool things about being able to like road school, learn as you go, is like they're learning ASL on the road, but then turning on teaching other people, and it's becoming a really really interesting conversation going on. Like they're trying to maybe find more people that they more kids like them that want to learn, and then of course as they grow up, they'll be the next generation. And yeah, it's exciting. I love seeing more and more of that.
It's really great. So I do hope that you do find other members. Again, this is one of those things. Yeah, it's ask it here. I think that's great. You're always welcome to put it into any of the groups and ask of anybody else, because you might be surprised to find who else is in the group that might either maybe they know somebody and they can connect you, which is always great. So, and of course, you're always welcome at all the events. Try to accommodate however we can.
Yeah, I second that. Definitely, maybe just starting to meet people online, where it's more comfortable to make friends online first, and then, get past the discomfort, or, the fact that maybe someone doesn't know ASL, or doesn't know how to communicate well with someone who's deaf. Maybe they can just get to know you better just by communicating online. And so joining in some of our groups would be probably pretty beneficial, and I bet you would meet some pretty nice people that way.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I think that's it for tonight. We thank you for joining us in this virtual meetup space. We're glad you were here, and we hope that you continue the conversation on it in all the groups. Just showing over there in the Skips group and Xscapers and RV to Freedom, and I'm assuming you're on Facebook right now, but any of the others too, and we'll chat with you there. See you next time.
Bye guys, thanks for joining us.
Bye everyone, thank you.